So apparently, Michael Jordan didn't have much of a bag. Let's get into it. Paul Pierce and his crew, again, shout out to Paul and Danny Green and them, had a discussion about Michael Jordan, and the great bag conversation came up, right? The great, you know, who's got the, the bop bop, the tween hezzy pool, you know what I'm saying? Did MJ have that in his bag? They were discussing this after discussing Giannis Antetokounmpo and the fact that, Giannis to many doesn't have much of a bag. But before I spoil anymore, I'm going to go ahead and play the video. Let's get into it.
Remember that whole discussion we was having like 4 or 5 years ago about Giannis don't got a bag. I think that kind of stuff like pissed him off. Like it's like a disrespect
they said the
of
same
his
thing
game.
about Bron. They said the same
You know
thing
what I'm
about
saying? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They said the same thing about Jordan.
Nah, they never said Jordan ain't have a bag.
They said Jordan have a bag.
Invented the bag.
Nah, I don't know if that. I don't
He
invent bag.
invented the bag. What?
But again, he simplified the game to where he didn't have to do like
One, two dribble pull-ups, dog.
Yo,
bro.
One,
post
two,
fade,
fade away, one,
fake
two pull-up
spin,
dribbles.
half spin.
Man,
Bro,
nah.
to create space for those shots, you have to have
One
a
or two
bag.
dribble
Nah,
pull-ups,
he's
bro.
just a super
Is
athlete.
You better
is
go
the
back
bag
and-
just Kyrie doing crazy shit off the backboard?
Nah, Kai had a mix like he could make one-on-one ISO moves. Like
So Jordan had no bag?
I didn't say no bag. I just don't think
Kobe
he
and
had.
Jordan are bag
one,
guys?
two dribble
Kobe
pull-ups.
had a
No
bag.
bag.
Though. Kobe had unbelievable.
Here's the thing about this conversation that's very interesting to me. The more and more that you kind of go back and watch some of these players and even some of the new generation, and we get into this bag talk, right? Who has the best bag? Who has the deepest bag? What you quickly realize is a lot of the scores, although, yes, they have many counters, they're pretty much doing some very fundamental basic activity, right? When you see, I live in Houston. I used to go to the Houston Rockets games quite frequently. When James Harden was here, James Harden is known as somebody who has a bag, right? Because of his ball handling ability. But when you watch James Harden play for real, it's the same size up, and then your reaction to it is going to dictate whether he steps back or whether he just blows by you, right? So he's going to tween cross, tween cross, right? And if you try to press up on him, he'll put the ball in his left hand and he'll just go. If he tweens crosses you and you're backing up with that, then that last tween is going to lead to the step back, and he's going to shoot that with his left hand. Also, is bag just ball handling? Is it a mixture of bag as far as ball handling ability? How many moves do you have off the dribble? Do you have triple threat bag, right? That's where Carmelo comes into play. Because when I think about I don't know if this is a hot take. To me, I've never considered Carmelo Anthony a bad guy, but he's usually thrown into that echelon or that category of player. But to me, I've never been impressed with Melo off the dribble game, right? You don't really see Melo coming down and bink, 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 hezzy. Like, that's not Melo's game. Melo, now he does have a triple threat bag, right? Where he catches it in the mid post on the wing and he could jab, pump, use his footwork and things of that nature. But as far as off the dribble game, I've never considered Melo to be the bad guy off the dribble. I don't know. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Am I tripping on that? But let's continue.
Footwork too, like different.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
what's up?
I
All
think
right,
he
what do we
learned it
define
from-
as a bag, first of all? Just handles to the shot?
I think to me,
Like, wah, then get
Not
it
just
off?
handles, but you
to
have
me,
a plethora of moves in your bag.
Yeah. The defense does this.
They
I
don't
can now
know-
go to this.
you're not
I can
predictable.
yes. You have multiple
counters.
answers to the test.
You have counters.
To me, that's a bag.
I think they had the capability, but they didn't have to counter because Mike was
One, two dribble
You knew
pull-ups,
you were not
dog.
stopping him to get to a spot, and he's
Or
athletic enough
dunk
to
on
jump.
you.
And
This is a great point being made by Danny Green right now, right? Because for some of us Kobe fans, I mean, y'all see the jerseys in the back. And by the way, I think him and Kyrie have the deepest bags of all time. Just letting you know my opinion. But I think for some Kobe fans or some skill fans, right, you're very high on people that have a lot of skill. I think you don't realize that some players don't have skill. Not only because they maybe can't develop a skill to that certain threshold of like a Kobe or a Kyrie. Shea is also entering this conversation for me as well, as far as deepest bags I think I've probably ever seen. But it's also because they don't need to. Michael Jordan, because of his S tier athleticism and S tier first step, doesn't need a whole bunch of counters because he can beat you on the first move. LeBron James does not have to have a whole bunch of counters in his prime because when he gets ahead of steam, when he takes his first step, and when he bumps you and you're off balance, he's beat you. He can get to the rim. Giannis, another great example. Having the counter means that you've made a move and the defense has cut that off. So now you have to go to something else. You have to have a plan B. If plan A though always works, I don't need a plan B. And I think for some skill guys, you don't like a certain player because of lack of skill in your opinion, but if you have that kind of athleticism, you don't necessarily need 3,000 different moves, right? So that is something to think about. Also, though, while I'm saying this, Anthony Edwards right now is somebody who's in the league who's a very great athlete, and he still has a lot of bink to his game. I love watching Anthony Edwards play basketball personally. He's one of my favorite watchers in the league, and for that reason, because it's kind of rare that you get that good of an athlete having that much wiggle and creativity and that many counters to their game because quite frankly is really not needed when you're that tier of athlete. So I enjoy watching Anthony Edwards put on a show for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And also, real quick, where do we watch those games at? On playback. Click that link down in the description and join us over here in playback, where we just finished watching the Lakers get absolutely smacked by the Devin Bookerless Phoenix Suns. We just watched that happen not too long ago. So make sure you check that description, hit the link, and join us over here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. But let's get back into the video.
So
Shoot over you.
y'all
Give
agree
you a
with the
shoulder
people that
bump.
say Mike had a limited bag?
Mike had limited bag.
I don't agree. I just don't think he had to use his
You
bag.
guys are
He
crazy.
didn't need to do
bro.
He
all
didn't
that
need
fancy
to. I
shit. He
think
just
Mike had
wanted
a
to.
bag,
He
yeah.
was right to the business.
Bro.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like Shea got more of a bag though. But Shea usually gets to his, he can get to his
Yeah.
spot.
Bro,
But Mike had a bag but didn't have to
was
use it.
so impeccable.
Kobe's
What is
footwork,
that
I
if
think,
not
was
a
better.
bag?
I think
You think
Mike had.
Kobe had better footwork than Mike?
I think Kobe.
Oh
No,
my
I don't think
God.
so. I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
I rewatched.
I think it's just that
Mike
in
Jordan.
advance, like Kobe had to. He had to play against better. You know what I'm saying? Like Mike didn't have to do as
Oh,
much
so
as
you doing the-
pivot, left hand off the backboard.
You doing
throw.
the Mike played against
I'm
mechanics thing right
saying,
now? Are you
I'm
really
not saying Kobe's a
entertaining
better
that?
player. I'm just saying footwork wise, I think Kobe had to evolve his footwork because he's playing against better talent. Like, I'm not saying Mike didn't play against some good talent, but the generational things have gotten better, bro, over time.
Mike had limited bag, though.
I will also agree with Dan and Green on that as well. Right. So it's funny how basketball works because sports in general, everybody's reacting to what's working and what's happening in the league. So a lot of people forget this as far as how do you rank and view Michael Jordan? Because when he entered the league was very much so a big man sport, right? The bigger players were usually the best players in the league. You have your Kareems, your Wilts, Bill Russells, etc., etc. Then we even had like before Mike, there were the Birds and the Magics, but Bird and Magic are 6'9" and 6'10". So even still, it wasn't a widely accepted idea that a two guard at 6'6" could number one be the best player in the league, and number two, that brand of basketball lead to championships, right? So when Mike is ramaging through the 90s, it's low key because the game was not equipped yet to have that archetype of player be the best player in the world. They weren't equipped yet to have multiple defenders to throw at that caliber of player. In fact, I've always thought, and this is my opinion, the best person that was ever in the league to guard Michael Jordan was on his team. And if I were to assume there was somebody that could, the one person that I thought that could do a really good job on Michael Jordan is Scottie Pippen. Of course, you have your Sidney Moncriefs. I'm not saying that there aren't any good guard defenders in the league at this time. I'm just or wings. I'm just saying they're more far and few, in between. Whereas when we get to the 2000s, and now Mike is kind of the blueprint, and so now we see the Kobe's, the Allen Iversons, the Tracy McGrady's, the Vince Carters. There are more wing defenders now. There are more players being drafted to guard these players. We're getting the Shane Battiers now. We're getting the Ron Artests, right? We're getting the Bruce Bowens. We're getting these players who are solely on teams to guard these type of players, right? That carries on into like the 2000s, and then the 2010s. We have the explosion of spacing and point guards, right? So the Steph Currys and the Dames, they come around in the 2010s, and they shift the era with that. And also give the Miami Heat a lot of credit for this too, because that small ball was kind of founded by them as well, when they used to slide LeBron to the 4, Bosh to the 5, right, and play that lineup to have some more spacing for LeBron and D Wade to get downhill. But then that came with, when we hit the 2020s, late 2010s, 2020s. Well, we've kind of removed centers off the court. And so now who's dominating? Jokic, Giannis, Embiid. Because we took bigger players and we said, hey, y'all aren't great for the game right now because y'all can't move and defend the 3 and get out and close out and move your feet and da 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 da. And then, these centers start to just ramage through the league. So there is something to be said about different eras and how you can guard them, and are you effective in guarding the best players, et cetera, et cetera. I say all of that to say that, yes, to me, Danny Green is also correct in the analysis of MJ just wasn't going against the level of perimeter defensive talent as some of the later perimeter players had to go against as the game continued to evolve. But let's continue.
Did Paul Pierce have a bag? Because to me, like, what is this guy's game besides a bag?
I think they had the capability. Like
so
Mike,
many moves to get by guys.
Mike had a bag. He didn't have to use it. Kobe had a bag. He used it a little more than Mike. I think he was capable of using different moves. He didn't have to. Like bigger guards use a bump. They know how to get to their spots, make a couple moves, keep it simple.
So that's what they had to say about that. And then we're also going to see this video of Gilbert Arenas reacting to what Paul Pierce and Danny Green had to say about the lack of baggage from Michael Jordan.
As Paul Pierce and Danny Green says, Michael Jordan had a limited bag.
Yeah, we're going to discuss it tomorrow. We can get into it today if you would like as well.
And what's okay? And
we got to watch
the nigga bag was from 1980. But how elaborate did you think that bag was going to be? He didn't have no crossover. Barely went behind the back. Like I mean, what? 1-2 dribble fade. Right? I mean, like that was his bag of. I mean, the bag is new, y'all. Like having a bag is something new. Back then, what they had was a bag. He had a bag in the 80s. He had a bag in the 80s. It was better than everybody else's bag. He can dribble with both hands a little bit.
I also think this is another important piece of this conversation that's kind of unfair to the older generations, right? Because moves are built upon throughout periods of time, right? And then also the rules now allow for more creativity of ball handling, more so, way more than it did back in like Jordan's time. I was watching some 80s and 90s games during the summer, and you could not put your hand, not even really on the side of the ball. They were calling carry, right? Whereas we see people just carry the ball regularly all the time, just bringing it up. Giannis and Tatum quite literally carry, just bringing the ball up the court. right? So there is more freedom of movement. There's more bending or breaking of the rules, depending on how you look at that. And then also you have the reference of, oh, this player was doing this move. So now I can add that to my game and then add a tweak to it. And then all of a sudden we're getting double step backs now. And we're getting different pickups, right? This is another aspect of the bag that doesn't get talked about enough to me, where we're getting very creative, these players, as far as how they gather to get into a finishing move, right? They have the low pickup. You see Donovan Mitchell do the over the top, the old Dwayne Wade move. You see people kind of getting into a euro as they're picking the ball up, right? Because now there's a gather step and two steps after that. That would have all been a travel back in the day, right? So it's also not fair to the older generation to be like, oh, they didn't really have a bag back then. They couldn't dribble with their left hand. Some of that is true, but there is some nuance of the conversation as far as what all they were not allowed to do that is allowed in 2020s basketball. So that is an important part to point out as far as trying to be fair to the old heads. I don't do that much, but I'm going to go ahead and be gracious today. But let's continue.
The 90s, you kind of had a little bag, and then, other players started coming in with elaborate, with a little extra shit. Jamal Mashburn had a little bag. Grant Hill had a little bag. Allen Iverson came with his little bag. 90s, 2000s, Kobe had a bag. Jamal Crawford. It depends on what type of shit y'all talking about. Baron Davis bag was nice. T. Francis. And yeah. Like Baron Davis bag can work today.
Yeah, Baron Davis.
His bag can work today.
I'm surprised Gilbert Arenas didn't name himself, because Gilbert Arenas did have a good bag. But Gilbert Arenas, I've also seen him, to his credit, say, I wasn't looking to get into all that most of the time. I was looking to be efficient, right? If I could take one dribble to get a shot off, I'm just going to take one dribble to get a shot off. That is the majority of elite scorers, by the way. Even Kyrie Irving, the guy that we think is dribble, 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 boom, boom, bap, boom, 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 bap, has said that he's looked to make his game more efficient year after year after year, not as far as shooting splits, but using dribbles to get to spots, using less dribbles to get to spots, using less dribbles to beat a man off the dribble. So the goal isn't to sit there and look like Julian Newman in that old mixtape that everybody knows, where he's just dribbling at one spot for 15 minutes. That's not the goal. The goal is to have you a few moves that work quite consistently, and then have some counters to the few moves that usually work. That is how you build upon a bag, per se. Another guy that gets brought up in the bag conversation a lot, Kevin Durant. Go watch KD. It's tween, hang, hezzy, tween, hang, hezzy, or cross, hang, hezzy, cross, hang, hezzy into some kind of jumper, or he's trying to lull you to sleep with the hezzy and beat you off the dribble. It's not a whole bunch of different things going on. It's really not. Even these guys who everybody considers bad guys, right? You take all of those moves out and do 3, 4, 5 different dribble combinations and stuff for special occasion. But on the regular, the game is pretty simple. I'm not gonna lie. The game on a possession to possession basis is a pretty simple game. It is always and always will be about efficiency. Let me know what you think down below there in the comments. Did Michael Jordan have a bag to you? In my opinion, he did. Didn't have to go to it much because he was an S-tier athlete, and because of the rules back then. I do think Michael Jordan, probably would have had a few more dribble combinations if he played in 2025. But again, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Make sure you like the video, sub to the channel, and make sure you check that description. Hit all the links you see down below. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and again, make sure you hit the link to Playback, where we are streaming games every single night. And until next time, it's been real.